Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So if you don't know me, my name's Beth and I'm seamstress, but I make knit and crochet content here and on Instagram. So you'll have already seen the title of this video. I just thought it would be fun to go through some of my upcoming knitting and crochet plans, kind of, I say for the spring, but I say it loosely because we're still in January and this is going to encompass like the rest of January, February, March. So it's not so much the spring, but I guess like the next couple of months. I'm gonna kind of try and split these into things that are going to be completely new and then things that I'm either frogging or reworking or reknitting later. So yeah, these are going to be like the 10 things. So I think that there's 6 completely new ones and then 4 that are some form of previous project having a new lease of life. One of my, well, I guess a couple of my New Year's resolutions this year were, firstly, if I'm not happy with something, fix it or reknit it. Like, don't just have things sat around that I'm not wearing. And also to, I think, same as a lot of people, use through more of my yarn stash. So while there are quite a few projects that I would love to be able to just jump into and buy new yarn for, this is all from stash. So like I said, I wanted to do colour work this year, but it's not going to be anytime soon because I don't have the yarn for a colour work project, and I'm not going to buy more yarn when I have all of this sat around in stash. Some for an embarrassingly kind of long amount of time at this point. So today I'm wearing this raglan cardigan that I designed last year and made, but I'm not going to get too much into it because I'm going to get into this I think a little bit later in the video. I will also say these are not set in stone definite plans. I'm not absolutely going to make every single one of these projects. These are just things that I want to keep in mind over the next couple of months and remind myself like this is what I wanted to make. There is a mix of knit and crochet, although I think it's like 9 knit, 1 crochet, which is kind of typical. But yeah, I'm not going to be super hard on myself. It's just to bear these in mind, what I'm most excited about right now. I'm also not going to talk about my current whips because I think it goes without saying that I obviously want to finish those, and if you're interested, you can watch the most recent vlogs and I'll also be talking about them in the January podcast. I feel like it's a little bit redundant to speak about them here. And yeah, lastly, before we get into it, I am also doing a shop drop soon on my website of more knitting and crochet themed accessories and stuff. So I am presuming that a chunk of my time is going to be taken up working on some products for the shop. So you know, while I'm going to be knitting and working on these things, there I think is going to be a balance. So yeah, I definitely don't expect to get through all of these, or maybe I will, but just maybe not before the spring. But yeah, anyway, let's just get into the video. So if you see me looking down, I am referencing my iPad, so I do apologise. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to put up kind of like mini mood boards or reference photos on the screen for each of these. And I will say as well, I don't think I mentioned it already, I self-draft all of my patterns, so these are not going to be previous patterns. These are going to be things that I want to design specifically. So the pictures that I've got from Pinterest, they are like a rough guideline, like a vibe, an essence, but they're not exactly what we're going to be making. So the first thing that I want to make after I've finished my current whips is a short sleeve textured cardigan, and this was probably actually the thing that I found the hardest to get like reference photos for, because I don't really think that there's anything that I could find that really actually captured exactly how I want to make this piece. But the pieces that I'm hopefully showing you on the screen are a kind of like a rough idea of how I kind of want it to look. So I want it to be like a high crew neck and all over texture or cables. The yarn that I am thinking of using for this is the Rowan Soft Yak yarn. So this is 76% cotton, 15% yak and 19%, no not 19, 9% nylon. So I bought this yarn, I'm trying to think now, maybe like May, June time last year. No, it must have been later than that, maybe like July kind of time. I actually bought this from Hobbycraft, so not the Hobbycraft near me but another one that I went to. I didn't realise that they actually even stock Rowan yarns. I don't think that they're in all of the shops. I think it's maybe only like the select bigger ones. So basically these were in clearance, so I think these are meant to be £9 a ball, and I want to say that they were maybe £6. So I bought all of what they had. They only had 9 balls of this, which actually is just enough to be a jumper's quantity. It's 1,200 and I think 15 meters in total, which for me, I probably could get a whole cardigan out of this or a whole jumper. But the thing is I like my things to be quite oversized, and I don't think that this would be enough to make it as big as I would want it. So the other thing as well is that, so I did this little sample, honestly, must have been months ago now, because I remembered that I had done it, but I can't remember when I did it. This was when I was swatching for actually another piece, but this yarn is quite good for showing texture. So I think this is actually like a chainette yarn. I don't know how well this is going to come up on the camera, so I hope you can kind of see. But anyway, I wanted to use this for a texture, but I definitely don't think I'd have had enough for an oversized jumper in a texture, because obviously doing something in texture and cables takes a lot more yarn than just doing it in stockinette. So my thought process is, if I do one that's short sleeved, then I'll definitely have enough, and I can kind of go as extreme on the texture and cables as I want to without having a fear of running out of yarn, and also without like such a lengthy project, because it's not an actual cardigan, because the sleeves are going to be short. So yeah, that was my thought process, and I don't own anything like this in my wardrobe. I keep seeing these short sleeve cardies like popping up in like shops, and also just like in the, I guess, online knitting community, and I think that they're super cute, but there hasn't really been any so far that I have liked enough to get the pattern for, because I think a lot of them that are existing, and this is the problem that I had with when I was looking for reference photos, is that either like, I don't know how to word this, and I actually, now that I think about it, it might not be the piece, it might be the way that it's styled, but I feel like some of them are like super like girly and like really overly like feminine, or I don't know, there was none that I was exactly vibing with. So I think it is a case of actually the stitch that you pick and the way that you style it. But I thought as well with this yarn, because it's such a heavy percentage of cotton, it's 76% cotton, I thought it would be something that would be more appropriate as a long sleeve, a short sleeve, sorry, because obviously cotton is more considered as like a summer fibre, because it's not as warming as wool, and so it's something that I think would continue to be appropriate through the spring and into the summer, because that's another thing I find with these short sleeve cardigans is like, when is the correct time to wear them? I live in the UK, and it's either cold or it's raining, or it's like when it gets hot it gets humid, and the last thing that you want to be wearing is probably something knitted. But I think that, yeah, the cotton in this, it's very soft, it doesn't feel like cotton, but because it's such a cotton percentage, I think it will work. So yeah, and I realised as well looking at this that there's quite a lot of grey. I'm not really like a grey wearer. The only other thing that I've made in grey has been my other cabled cardigan actually. So yeah, I think just getting some more like a more textured, complicated knit, but in a basic colour, I think will just be fun to wear and style. So yeah, we're not going to go on about this, but this is the first project. Secondly, And this has also, well, this has been in stash for much longer than the first one. And this is probably the thing that I am the most, I don't want to say skeptical, but unsure of. And I haven't swatched yet. So I think that maybe swatching this will determine how I think it's going to go. So not last year, but I think maybe the year before. So maybe 2023. It might have even been earlier, I can't remember. Basically, I've got this yarn from Hobby, and my plan of what I want to make with it has never changed, and I've still never knit it. Like in 2024, I didn't make any summer knits, I didn't make any summer tops, I didn't make anything in very like warm weather friendly yarns. I pretty much only made jumpers and cardigans, and I pretty much only use wool, which I love. But now I feel like I've got a pretty decent collection of them, and we want to try out some different things this year. I feel like these plans, I think I've got a good range, and that's really what I want to go for this year. It's just like branching out and just experimenting. So this is the Friends 88 cotton by Hobby, which I want to say is a DK weight. So this is just what it looks like. It's clearly in the navy. It's a recommended needle size of a 3.5 to 4 millimeters. So yeah, like I said, need to swatch. I have 20 of these. They're 75 meters each. So what does that work out as? So I have 1,500 meters of this, which I worry isn't going to be enough for what I want, but then at the same time I'm thinking we can just make this more cropped. So yeah, hopefully I'll have some rough kind of reference photos up on the screen. So I have always, like, the intention for this has always been to make an oversized cabled collared jacket, which is a bit of a mouthful. So I would say the grey one is very much the essence that we want to capture. I want to do drop shoulder, just like massively oversized. The blue one is similar, but obviously I don't want it to like stand up here. We want it to actually come over like a collar. So I worried that I might not have enough yarn for this. What my thought process is going to be is essentially knit the yoke, drop shoulder, knit the sleeves, don't compromise on the oversizedness, so have it actually fit how I want it to fit, and then we shall just go as far as we can go on the body. The only thing that I think is going to be annoying is that I like to, when I knit cardigans, I like to do the body because then you can put on the button band and the collar without, like, so that you know that all of this fits right before you get to your sleeves. Because I feel like if you knit your sleeves first and then you realise that this was wrong, it's like more annoying to fix, right? So the only thing that I'm concerned about is maybe the order of construction, but then I have seen that you can kind of like knit a bit of the button band and then the neck, and then like later knit down and then like Kitchener stitch the two back together. So that is always an option. I haven't thought too hard logistically about this. I feel like, because 1,500 meters is enough to do a jumper, but it's the cables that I worry. It's quite like the look of, I think that the Rose cabled something, it's in her book, I'll try and put a photo up on the screen, is maybe a bit more cropped. So if it kind of looked like that kind of shape but completely different stitch pattern and cables, then I'd be happy. And I've even also got the buttons, so this is what they look like together. Don't know how well you can see, but yeah. And I feel like the thing that I'm worried about is that I've never knit a whole piece only in cotton, and I worry because I've heard that cotton droops a lot, and so it's sort of like, is it worth doing the cables in a cotton? But then I think it would be quite nice to have it in a summer fibre. So this is why I need to gauge swatch. We need to see how it's going to turn out. But as of right now, this is what I'm thinking. And if you've ever used cotton for cables or anything, please, I would love to know how it worked out and how it's like held over time. So this next project I think I actually spoke about in my Denmark yarn haul, and we didn't get around to it. I feel like I didn't actually knit loads over November and December, or I did, but I didn't knit a lot of different pieces because I was gift knitting, and now I'm getting back into the swing of knitting for myself. This has just been something that has been overarching that I wanted to make. So yeah, again, hopefully there'll be some pictures up on the screen, but I really want to make one of these like fold over the top ribbed oversized jumpers. So last year I started knitting a summer top in this kind of construction. Basically I messed it and then I went to frog it, and then I dropped too many stitches in like one area, and it's just sat in a whip bag, and I haven't been able to bring myself to fix it. So that was like the one summer top I attempted last year, but I basically want to knit the same style of thing. And this is the yarn I want to use. It's the Peruvian Highland Wool by Filicolana. So yeah, I bought this in Denmark. So if you watched that video, if you're interested in watching that video, this is what I got. It's like it is actually a brown, but it's like a greyish brown. I don't really know how to describe it, but again, I'm pretty sure this is like a DK-ish weight, but it definitely feels like a more heavy DK, but I haven't actually swatched with this, so I might be wrong. But I really like the colour, and I think this would just be super cute, like really big and oversized, chuck it on with a pair of jeans. And I feel like the reason that I think that this is more spring appropriate or will be transitional is because although this is obviously 100% wool, I think you can only wear something like that where this is open and there's a big amount of fabric here without a jacket. So my thought process is like evenings when it gets warm, spring days, summer evenings when you just want to chuck something on. It's like oversized and cozy, but you're not like overheating because you've still got this bit out. And then, you know, similarly, it's still warm enough to wear transitionally through all of the seasons, like if you're just at home or whatever. And I just really like the way that these look. I really like to like stack necklaces and stuff as well, so I think that this will just be something that will fit quite, I want to say, naturally into my wardrobe, just the way that I like to wear things. So yeah, I am excited about that, and I'm really excited about using this wool as well because I have heard really good things, and like I said, it's just been sat in stash since August, so I will be pleased to be hitting two birds with one stone with this project. Okay, so this next one, again, I think I actually bought this yarn before I went to Denmark, so we must be looking back at August, July, and I think I actually showed this swatch back in one of the end of month podcasts, but clearly just another thing that I didn't get around to. My problem is with these videos is I plan ahead and then I get excited about something else, and then all of this just sits on the back burner. Like one of my current projects, I only bought the yarn for like 3 weeks ago, so yeah, anyway, we are back on a yarn ban. So I really want to make one of these like frilly tie up in the front like mohair-esque lace stitch cardis, which is a bit of a mouthful honestly. So the yarn that I want to use for this is the Drops brushed alpaca silk. So if I hold it up like this, it looks like a mohair, but actually the gauge is for like a 5mm needle. It is very soft. It is like not itchy like I think people find with mohair. It is, in my opinion, it is just soft. Obviously I haven't actually worn this yet, but this is the swatch that I did like honestly months ago. So it's just this lace stitch. I should also say, like, I know I haven't been showing specific stitches for like the cables and stuff that I want to do, but I've got like 4 or 5 books of just knitting stitches which are over here. So I think the plan is I'm just gonna flick through them and combine. I think this is really one of the, I'd say one of a couple of things that I actually know exactly what stitch I'm gonna do right now. So yeah, this is just the lace stitch. It is a pretty simple one, but I think it will look nice kind of all over. I am also considering with this one trying to work in a contiguous satin sleeve construction. If not, I'll probably do this as a drop shoulder. But yeah, I want it to have like kind of like a V and then kind of come down, tie here, and then have like ruffles overlapping this bit, and then like tight, kind of not tight sleeves, but like fitted sleeves, and then maybe like a little flare at the bottom. I feel like that is so specific, but yeah, I'm really excited. I really like this colour. That kind of cardigan as well is something that I can see myself wearing on, for example, like nights out, or dress it up a little bit more. See, that's another thing I noticed, is that I don't really have knits for different occasions. I just have like a lot of kind of jumpers and stuff which you can kind of wear casually but maybe aren't more dressy, whereas I feel like this could definitely be something that's a little bit more dressy. So I'm excited, and like I said, this swatch is in 5mm, so it's gonna work up relatively fast, I think. And I know that the stitches are quite gappy, but I quite like the look, because I think with the lace pattern, I feel like it almost looks like it should be like that. It almost looks like it kind of is part of the stitches. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, this cardigan is another one that has been living in my head rent free, and I'm excited to get to it soon. Okay, so again, this is another yarn that I got back in Denmark, and this is another one as well that like, this was the one yarn that I like definitely knew I needed to get my hands on while I was there. You can actually order it in England, but I just feel like since I was there, I was like determined I was gonna get this. So this is the Isaiah Aran tweed in confetti is the colourway. I'm sure you've probably seen this before if you're in any of the kind of like online knitting spaces, but this is just what it looks like. So it's like a grey with all of these different coloured specks for the tweed, which I think obviously make up the confetti name. So yeah, I have literally been in love with this yarn for so long. This yarn is definitely not the softest. I wouldn't quite go so far as to say that it's rustic, but then again, I haven't worn it. I also don't think I am the most sensitive person to wool, so I don't know, take that as you will. But because I feel like this yarn is just so fun, I want to just make myself a big oversized jumper, really basic, like just stockinette, that I, you know, can just let the yarn really shine. I don't want to take away from it with any kind of like different stitches or anything. And I think as well, because like some of the plans that I'm showing you today are quite like involved. We've got lace, we've got cables, there's some other more cabled things that I want coming. There are some that are different stitches and like new constructions, and I think that just having something like ready to go that is just gonna be really simple, like I just want it to be big, oversized, probably like a drop shoulder. Again, hopefully I've got some pictures up on the screen. One of these is a turtleneck. Look, I'll tell you now, I do not suit a turtleneck. It makes me feel like I have horrible, like, just, I don't know. I do not like the way that they look on me. I don't love the way that they feel either. So I probably won't do a turtleneck, but maybe some form of mock, like double folded collar. Not sure yet whether it will definitely be a drop shoulder. Maybe again, I'll experiment with a contiguous satin sleeve, or even maybe trial doing a European shoulder again, but just not a raglan. I'm really trying to stray from raglans. There's only one that's in this whole plans video which I haven't gotten to yet, because I just feel like last year I just made so many raglans. So yeah, not too much to say about this. This is going to be the thing I think that I can just fall back on. It's just easy, mindless, beautiful. I am very excited to actually be able to wear this yarn as a finished product. Like this kind of, I don't know, yeah, she's beautiful. I can't wait. Okay, so the last one, this one isn't massively interesting, I wouldn't say. Last year I made my first pair of socks, and in my resolutions video I said that I this year want to make more projects that are functional, so not just jumpers, socks, accessories, etc. And I was using the Summerly sock project book, that's where I knitted the pair of socks from, and I basically just want to make another pair of socks from that book. It's just the ribbed sock, essentially. It's the same heel construction as the first one I did, which is just a heel flap and gusset, and this is the yarn that I want to use. Annoyingly, the labels come off. I have got another one, but I just couldn't get it out of the box. I think this is just like a Wendy sock yarn, which I bought from a spa when we were in Denmark. Not like a spa as in like massage, a spa as in like the supermarket. But yeah, it's just in this blue colour. It's just a sock yarn. Like, I really don't think that there's anything special about this, but I just thought it would be cute in like ribbed pattern. And I got 2 of these, they're 50 grams each, so I think I'm gonna aim to make longer socks than the first pair that I made. A bit of variety, but yeah, there's not much to say with this one, I don't think. It's just socks. Okay, so now we're getting into the second part of the video, which is things that I want to either rework, reknit, or frog and use the yarn from. So the first one, which is why I didn't want to speak about this cardigan too much earlier, is actually the cardigan that I'm wearing. So like I said, I made this last year. This is knit up in Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk Mohair. I got a lot of requests over on Instagram to actually write up a pattern for this, so that is the plan. I'm hoping to be able to write up a pattern for this, but the thing that's slowing me down, honestly, is so because this is a raglan, I don't want to just size up I don't want to do the size increments in a way that mean that like the bigger sizes have like really low arms. So I basically want to do my calculations to make I can't remember what it's called. Is it a compound raglan? I can't remember exactly what the name is, but essentially the way that it works is that when you get into larger sizes, the rate of increase on the sleeve and on the body portions start to differ, so that your sleeves don't get really low before you have to connect under the arms. I don't know if that makes any sense, but basically I've been wanting to knit another one of these for myself for a little while. I feel like this is probably my most worn piece of knitwear last year. It's just so easy to throw on. It's such a basic. It's got like, if I do this up, it's got like a high, not like a high neck, but it's got like a high kind of like crew neck, which is the look that I prefer with my pieces. I don't really love necklines that are super low, so I want to, once I've graded it, I want to knit myself a bigger size. So I want to knit myself maybe a size up, or maybe 2 sizes up. This does have positive ease, like don't get me wrong, but I just love to live in things that are excessively oversized. So yeah, I want to make one bigger, and I also want to do some variations in the pattern just to give people some option. So I think what I'm going to do is do a double knit button band on the second sample, and the yarn that I want to use is slightly different as well. So I have shown, I think, this yarn multiple times on this channel before, so if you have seen this pop up before, I do apologise. But essentially the base of it, we're going to do Drops Flora again, easy peasy. I have had this in stash for, this is honestly probably the thing that I've had in stash the longest. I want to say like since 2022. This is probably why you might have seen it before. When I first got this, I started making this raglan, this cable knit raglan, and the thing is I've always self-drafted, so this was self-drafted, which at the time I was like, oh my god, this is such a slay, like how have I self-drafted this? However, you can't see, there is literally no stitch definition, and I'll show you why in a second. It's too thin, so I don't know if you can see, it's like actually holy, so not only can you barely see the design, but it's just also, it's just not it. There's no short row shaping, it's just not the vibe. But this actually inspired another design that I'm going to get to in a minute, so it wasn't completely a waste. But it's because instead of holding this with a mohair, I held this with a really fine boucle, and this is all tangled up, so I'm gonna try and get this close enough for you to see without having to unravel loads of it. So I think you can kind of see how fine this boucle is. It's definitely a lace weight, but I did a swatch a little while ago, which that would explain why I've just found my 5.5mm needles. But when I swatched, I can't, this is with, okay, so this is with 2 strands of the flora, 1 strand of the boucle, and 1 strand of this other random cone yarn that is another lace weight that just matched the colour perfectly, which I think has a cashmere percentage in it. And yeah, the gauge matches what I used for this version, so I'm basically going to make a second oversized version using this. I'll put some photos up on the screen, but I feel like you get the gist because I'm actually wearing it. But yeah, just a bigger, more oversized version. But I think that like this is actually super soft as well, so I think it would just give a nice alternative to one that doesn't have mohair in. Like I said, I'm not really that sensitive to the drops mohair. I know some people really struggle with it, but mine not so much. But I just think it will still be nice to have one without mohair, because there are times that I just like can't be asked to commit to wearing mohair for like the whole day. I am hoping as well that having that as a plan is gonna like get my arse in gear to actually write the pattern. So number 8 is another thing that I would like to frog and rework. So this yarn is the King Cole cotton 4-ply mercerized Egyptian cotton. Yeah, this is what the balls look like. I think that this was from Lovecrafts originally, and it's like, the thing with like mercerized, I think that's how you say it, mercerized cotton, is that it kind of gets this like shine. So I don't know how well you can see, but I started making this as something that was commissioned a couple years ago, but I got like, this was originally for a dress. Okay, so this is the stitch pattern that we were using. So if you can imagine, sorry, I'm like absolutely in my tracksuit bottoms. Yeah, this was meant to be like the skirt portion, but I would like to frog this and make like a jumper thing with it. Nothing like overly complicated or with much shaping, kind of just something to wear as like a layering piece, something over the top, something that will go like over like a top like this but still fit under a jacket. I feel like this stitch pattern in this yarn looks so nice, and I just feel like you could probably layer this all year round, to be honest. Let's see if we can go under the, yeah, I don't know, I feel like this is really pretty. So yeah, literally using this exact same stitch pattern, which I have actually used before in a different project. I crocheted a skirt while we were on holiday in Spain, and yeah, I think it's really nice, so we just want to make another one. I'm thinking as well for this one of maybe like, instead of writing a pattern, maybe just doing like a video tutorial, I don't know, or maybe doing like a video tutorial and then like a pattern that you can just download on the website or something. So yeah, let me know if anyone would be interested in that. But again, this has just been sat here since not last year but the summer before, so like too long in my mind. Okay, so we're on the 2 last ones, so let's go for the cabled one first. So again, if you've been around on the YouTube or my Instagram for a little while, you may have seen this pop up a couple times. This is honestly like the piece that I have the most beef with in my wardrobe. So I knit this not last year, the year before. These were like around the same time, okay? So this is knit using the Hobby Friends Extra Fine Merino held double with mohair. However, guys, this is a superwash yarn and she literally doubled in size. This is far too big for me now. It's huge, and I feel like I have been too scarred to frog this and reknit this in the same yarn in case the same thing happens again. So this is actually the thing that I said was inspired by that original grey cable knit raglan whatever. So this is also what my grey cable knit cardigan, which I've mentioned I think 3 times now in this video, was inspired by. So this was originally to write a pattern for it. Well, this is actually, looking at this now, I feel like I've come along quite far in my knitting journey. So this was actually knit bottom up and then seamed at the shoulders. There's no short row shaping, and then the sleeves were picked up and knitted down in the round. So I basically reached out to Hobby about reknitting this because I just wasn't happy with this first sample, although I love the design. It's just that the yarn choice wasn't really appropriate. I'd never used superwash at that point, and I did swatch and I did wash and block my swatch, but I think the problem is the actual weight of this jumper just massively made this grow. So we are reknitting this. So I am going to be reknitting this in the Friends wool, and I'm not going to be holding it with a mohair. It's just going to be the wool. So I'll show you the swatch in a second. Basically I'm going to be doing the body in just the off-white. I won't be holding it with the pink. And then the other thing is, instead of the green for the edges, we're going to go for like a really chocolatey brown, which I do have, but it's buried so deep at the bottom of my stash yarn. I couldn't bring myself to get it out to show you. I'll show you when I actually make it. But this is the little swatch that I did with the yarn that I'm reknitting it in. I don't know how well this is coming up. Can you see that? Can you see that clearly? So yeah, basically it's going to be the same thing that it already was, just actually in cream. Hopefully constructed a bit better, hopefully it holds up a bit better. I really like as well the way that this has stayed when it's dried. I feel like it holds the cable and the texture super well. So yeah, this is what I feel like I'm just going to show you the grey one for the sake of it. So yeah, this was the one that I knitted in the Drops Nord. So one thing that I actually did change when I did this sample was this stitch on the original was a moss, if you can see. When I reknit it, I cannot for the life of me remember what this stitch is called. It's like I think it's like a double interrupted rib or something. It was in one of the books I was looking at. But this is what it looks like instead. I basically did this because I feel like everyone uses the moss or double moss, which I think they look great, but I think that there's just room for other things. Like, not everything needs to be in double moss. So that's what this little side portion is. So I am debating whether to keep the moss or to switch to this so that this matches. So yeah, the idea was this is going to kind of be the cardi version, which I knitted last year, and then this will be the jumper version. And I feel like I'm going to call these, like, this stitch pattern, the like Cable Delight stuff. I don't know why. I had it in my head years ago, and every time I think about it, that's just the name that I think I have given it in my head. So yeah, I'm excited to use this yarn for a whole project. Hopefully it works out better than the first one. We're going to be able as well to include more of my knitting knowledge. We can do German short rows, it can fit a bit better, and yeah, I just want to love it. I just want to wear it, and I just want to love it. This is definitely one of the first garments that I fully knitted for myself, and was definitely one of the first times that I branched out into using natural fibres. When I crocheted, I did use a lot of acrylic back in the day, but yeah, this is kind of one of the first things that I made a whole piece not using acrylic. For the the most part, it's fine. I get some wear out of this jumper, but it's not perfect, and I really like the colour. So this is the Drops alpaca. I think the Drops alpaca is held double with a strand of Drops Kid Silk, and I think that the colourway is Sea Fog. So this was a really early on self-drafted raglan pattern, and there's no short row shaping in the neck, and basically under the arms there's no extra cast on it, just essentially connects right to the back where the other raglan is. And like I said, I do get wear out of this. Like, it's fine, it's oversized, it's comfortable. I really love the 2x2. For some reason I did 1x1 on the neck and 2x2 everywhere else, and I think I wouldn't be that bothered about fixing this. But like I said, I really like, I don't know if I hold this up closer, there's so many different little specks of colour that run through this alpaca, and I just really think it's really pretty. So I kind of want to reknit this into something that is really textured. Another jumper, not a raglan, maybe a drop shoulder again. I do have in stash, I think, a little bit extra of both of these yarns if I needed a little bit. But yeah, this is like super oversized. The arms are quite low because obviously where I didn't pick up under the arms, I had to knit the raglan deep enough for it to connect to the back. So I feel like I can definitely save some yarn there. Plus there's no decreases in these sleeves, they're just straight wide sleeves. So if you can imagine, if this comes in when I reknit it, we're gonna save some yarn here. And yeah, just overall something that fits me better, that I really love. I feel like I want to be on a texture kick. So this one I should say as well, again, hopefully we can put some photos up on the screen. I feel like some of these images, I think some are from My Favourite Things in Knitwear, and then some were from, I don't know the name, More CA Knit or Moroccan Knit. I'm definitely butchering that, but anyway, I really would like to make this into not something that was cabled, but something that was just textured. So just knit and purl stitches, experimenting with different stitch patterns, something I think that, yeah, will just be a bit more interesting than this. I feel like it's a light enough colour that stitch will stand out, but it's not going to be too overwhelming because this does have a mohair, so it's not got like obviously great stitch definition. I think it would just be something that will be like a nice kind of like subtle, I don't know, detail, and we can get more use out of this yarn in this jumper because there's literally nothing wrong with it. And I can't imagine that this will be very hard to, well, actually the only thing that I worry is unraveling this because it's mohair, but I don't think that I knitted this super tight. Like, I think we might be okay. I think it just might need to take a bit of care unraveling it. I also don't know whether to just knit straight from unraveling it or to wash the yarn. I know that some people do wash the yarn first. I've never actually unraveled something and reknit it, so I don't know. We will have to see. If anyone has experience with that, please let me know. So yeah, I think altogether those are the 10 things that I would like to knit soon. So hopefully we can get around to a lot of these. I'm feeling really excited. I really love the 2 projects that I'm currently working on, and there's one that I've just finished up as well. So I feel like we're gonna have some fun like end of month podcasts coming up over the next couple of months. I feel like they're quite different to things that I maybe made last year. I just really want to make things that I'm getting wear out of and getting use out of. I think there are other things that I definitely think I may eventually frog or try to rework, or like ideas that I had for garments that didn't come out quite right, and I still love the like original idea, but we need to kind of, I don't know, execute it in a different way. So they will be coming further down the line. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Obviously, if you want to see if I actually get around to making these projects, then definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. I also post more frequently over on Instagram, and like I said, I'm hoping that the next shop drop will be up soon. That will all be announced on Instagram, and if it's out before I get around to a video announcement, I will put it in the description of the most recent video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.